Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and I want to start by playing you a quick clip of a video that I posted 8 days ago. I wanted to give my quick 2 cents on this whole Elon buying Twitter thing. Okay, I think possibly this is politically motivated to bring back President Trump, Donald Trump. I think they're going to... Alright, so that'll do for now, because check this out. Trump has got a major announcement to make on November the 15th. Who would have thought it, hey? Okay, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. I've said this over and over again on the channel. Blockchain Backer does a really good point, makes a really good illustration here of this. Okay, he says, look, it took 214 days to revisit the 200-day moving average, just 1 day after CZ from Binance and FTX, SBF from FTX, start falling out, and 2 days after library ruling in the SEC case. Okay, and what happens right around that time? We get rejected from the 200 moving average for the total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin. So show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. Talk about coincidences. Is this just a coincidence? Is it not? That remains to be seen. What's important is how we deal with the situation. So I have apparently been premature calling this cycle low. It looks like we are working on this cycle low now. This looks much more like how I would expect a cycle low to look. So this here would be 54 days, perfect day 60 in the middle, and then 66 days at the edge of this green box. So this represents the timing window. So this was perfectly within the timing window. I said that if we were to take out and make a new high above this, which we did, then we can call this a swing, we can call this the cycle low and get long, which is exactly what I did. But it looks like we are now going to be working on a day 60 something cycle low. So 62, you know, within the next couple of days it is going to form a swing. It's not the end of the world. That's one of the reasons I had a nice wide stop on this. So this cycle low is going to form somewhere around here. At what level, that remains to be seen. It could sweep this low, it could stay up here. I suspect it doesn't sweep the low. That remains to be seen at this point. Ethereum is going to need readjusting, so again, just looking for a swing and we'll get long. It doesn't really make any difference whatsoever. XRP still continuing to push this. MATIC still looks rather constructive, to be honest. I'm not entirely worried about any of this really. I've added some new positions, made some modifications for some other positions, so stick around to the end of the video and I will show you my thinking on that. Ultimately though, in terms of Bitcoin, I'm not concerned until we lose this low, and I'm pretty sure that we will form a swing in the next couple of days. It's just that I thought this was a day 57 swing and it's likely going to be 63, 64, 65. I wonder if it coincides with what's on Thursday, CPI. Okay, do we get a lower CPI print, and does the market form a swing on Thursday, day 60, what would that be, 64? Yeah, day 64 on Thursday. Do we confirm with the swing on a Friday and then start the cycle from there? Most probably, that seems reasonable to me. Okay, I don't pay much attention to news because, like I've said often before, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. The news is telling me that we should expect some drawdown into the cycle low and then a flip bullish. So that's all we can do for now. We'll see how it goes. At the end of the day, not too bad really, especially if we can recover this level as shown here. And zooming out, you know, it's hard to make a bearish case for me. I don't see the bearish case when you zoom out. It's easy to say, yeah, but what about the macro? The technicals, everything else looks bullish to me. Okay, ADX looks to be forming a bottom right at the bottom of an exponential growth channel. We've also got this Adam and Eve double bottom that we're working on. We've also got our first green dot, okay, for Bitcoin in profit. You can see that here. This is starting to look exactly like 2018. Okay, I don't see how you can be bearish at this point. That's just my opinion. We've also got this model here that's showing us, look, we're rounding up off of the bottom of this channel. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's aggregate risk, again, in blue, turning up, doesn't look like the time to be selling to me, just my opinion. But the big question is, what do you think the market pays more attention to this week? Is it CPI or the midterm election results? I do not follow politics, and I especially do not follow them in America, but I can't help but wonder, okay, just based on the cycles, just based on everything we know so far, everything I've said so far, and we know that Trump is probably coming back, okay? Trump's got a major announcement to make on November the 15th. So are we going to see perhaps a lower CPI, and then we get some midterm election results, right? And then it just turns out that whatever party is opposite to Biden, they're also going to bring Trump back, and markets will rally like crazy on that because, of course, Trump is the guy that pumps the markets, right? So maybe that's what's happening. I'm speculating at this point, of course. That remains to be seen. Let's keep going. The current bear market is 10.25 months old. The average bear market lasts 11 months and the median is 7. So more than enough time has elapsed for us to get out of here. For every bearish fractal, remember there's a bullish one, and this one seems like we're tracing it pretty well. I think this would be the path of most pain, especially given the amount of shorts and retail shorts at the moment. Anyway, so that's the markets. We'll get to the charts in just a minute. I wanted to point out that, look, this this thing, the world, everybody needs hope, needs freedom, and needs Bitcoin. Okay, in amongst all of this FTX thing, we've got Solana selling off, we've got Binance Coin volatility, all of this stuff. Okay, just proves that whilst you can use altcoins to make more fiat if you don't have a high net worth already, okay, you're wasting your time. You are wasting your time trying to make more fiat. Okay, it's Bitcoin you need. It is Bitcoin you need, because Bitcoin is freedom, Bitcoin is hope. Look at this right here. Under our new PM in the UK, Rishi Sunak, they are now calling for universal basic income to protect UK households, or that's so they say. Okay, so they say it's to protect UK households. Look, the PM, if he doesn't introduce UBI, then they'll just put this new person in at the general election and then seek to introduce UBI using CBDCs. Okay, another phrase for this is digital slavery, as you already know. This is why I do what I do. This is why we need Bitcoin. This is why I don't mess around with altcoins. They fix problems that don't exist. Okay, they crash 99% out of nowhere on some scandal from the SEC or from whatever else, from exchanges going after each other, from all of these manipulations and stuff. Okay, there's no time for this. They are literally in the middle of rolling out this UBI CBDC. Okay, the UBI will be issued as a CBDC. This stuff is coming. Digital slavery is coming. And this is why I focus so heavily on Bitcoin. Look, people are working this out. It's not just me that's telling you this, okay? Bitcoin is extremely important to protect our freedom. And this is coming from the Human Rights Foundation chairman. Okay, it is extremely important because this is the only other option. The digital euro may have transaction limits and saving caps, according to the ECB executive board member. Do you want a saving cap, negative interest rates? Do you want to have a maximum that you're allowed to spend? Do you want to have zero freedom? Okay, exactly. No, you don't. And if you're in doubt as to whether or not Bitcoin really is freedom, look, Bitcoin really is, and it's saving lives in Lebanon. Watch this clip and you'll see what I'm talking about.
After decades of war and bad spending decisions by the government, Lebanon's economy is in ruin. I'm speaking to people who've had their life savings wiped out. There are fuel shortages and power cuts, a local currency that's lost 95% of its value, and crucially, money trapped in the bank. People are literally robbing banks at gunpoint to demand access to their own cash. And because of this, a sort of shadow crypto economy.
Sorry, I just want to pause this bit here. Look at this slide, okay? Local currency has lost 95% of its value, okay? In the UK, this is really close to home because the pound is at all-time lows, okay? Minimum wage plummets to $17. Pensions are virtually worthless. The pensions in the UK are levered 3 to 1 and they blew up. They blew up a few weeks ago. Remember? That's why the Bank of England had to step in and be the buyer of last resort and turn the printers on in the middle of a hiking cycle. These pensions don't exist, okay? And this is in Lebanon, but it's also in the UK. Inflation's set to hit 178%. That will be coming in the not too distant future, a few years away, okay? In the UK, in the US, everywhere. So let's keep going.
Because of this, a sort of shadow crypto economy has emerged. So we're talking about locals mining for Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Litecoin to earn money because they can't find work. Others are getting paid in Bitcoin by finding freelance gigs on Reddit and then treating Bitcoin like their bank because they think it's the safest way to store their savings. I also spoke to multiple people who are arranging meetings in Telegram to swap the stablecoin Tether for actual US dollars, which they then use to buy groceries. Overwhelmingly, what I keep hearing is that people are desperate for a connection to money that actually makes sense, and decentralized digital currencies that are outside the reach of bankers and politicians makes a whole lot more sense than the Lebanese lira right now.
All right, so Mac, let's talk a little bit about some of those crypto mines you mentioned. If there's widespread power cuts and fuel shortages, how does this actually make sense as a way to make money?
So it makes sense because of hydropower. So in certain pockets of the country, like in the Shuf mountain range, which is south of Lebanon, there is abundant and inexpensive electricity being harnessed from the Lichtani River. Now, I spoke to Ahmed Abu Dair. He's 22 years old, and he runs an expansive mining network across the country. Now, he has 40 employees working for him. Some of his mining farms are actually running on solar power closer to the Syrian border. And what I find especially compelling about his business model is the fact that he allows people to remotely invest in his operation and then earn a monthly dividend in crypto. And some of his customers are at the opposite end of the country from where these farms are. Some are in Syria, Turkey, and Egypt. It's a really interesting setup.
All right, I know how well-versed you are on crypto. You have a lot of insight on the entire industry, but you're going to have to explain this one. Tether as a form of currency or money. Can you just explain that one? Because we saw some of the issues with it previously.
Right. So in some cases, people are using Tether as a way to get a hold of physical cash. Because remember, even when the Lebanese banks let you withdraw money from your account, there are certain caps on it, and they're taking a huge chunk out of your deposit. So other people are
Sounds like you don't really own it, right?
turning to online forums. They're going to Telegram groups to set up a trade. This can be $30 worth of Tether in exchange for physical US dollar bills. Sometimes it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. There are also slightly more formal channels, although all of what we're talking about right now is the black market. But there are these over-the-counter exchange traders who deal specifically in crypto, but they're going to take a cut of the transaction on either end. And then Frank, there are some merchants who are actually getting into the business of accepting Tether directly. There are restaurants and markets. They just say it's a better way to do business nowadays.
All right, more and more, we're seeing different.
So this is the reality of the situation. Bitcoin really is hope. It really is freedom. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So there are more than 150 million Bitcoin and crypto users in India, Indonesia, and Nigeria alone. Okay, Bitcoin ATM installations in Canada are up 28% since just last year. The US attorney has announced that the US government owns over 3.36 billion, which it seized in connection with the Silk Road darknet market. So I made a video the other day showing that the Chinese and the American government both are holding billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And here you go. This puts the US's Bitcoin holdings above $4 billion. Okay, and I think China had just announced they had $3.9 billion. We're seeing game theory play out. Why do you think these people, the governments, why do you think the governments are holding Bitcoin? They know what's coming. They know what's coming because they're orchestrating it. Over in the equity side of the world, look, put call premium is getting out of hand. I keep showing these sorts of slides and they get worse and worse and worse. I mean, this is the great financial crisis. COVID looks like a blip back here, right? This looks like a blip compared to today. And this is starting to look like a blip, even though it's 2008, 2009, right? This could get really, really ugly. If all it would take is think about this, like a low CPI print, followed by Trump coming back and running for office or something outrageous like that. These are going to get completely set on fire. Extreme fear has become the new trend. They seem right at the moment, but I don't think for much longer. That remains to be seen. CPI week is here. It's important to keep an eye on certain levels, okay? This could be CPI support 1, support 2. We have the bullish momentum being retested, but look at where these targets are, okay? This is the melt up as well. We're seeing more and more people start to champion this idea that we're going to go up before we go down in full great reset. That remains to be seen. Let's get into the charts. Let's start with the stocks, okay? So, as per the plan that I've been talking about for weeks, we got a perfect touch of this, a bounce off, time to get long, okay? We lose this level here. We get stopped out of this trade. This opens up a lot of dark side, I think, okay? A lot of downside potential. So, let's not champion that unless, of course, you're a bear. The NASDAQ, okay? Similar story. Got a wider stop on this because of volatile tech. Big tech particularly has been getting crushed of late. But again, I think a lower CPI print and it will send all of this stuff to the upside pretty rapidly. The Dow, I don't know how you can say, I'll get this yellow line out of the way just for 1 second so you can see what's going on. Okay, this, in my opinion, does not look anything like this. This looks very constructive. Okay, and if I put this yellow line back, this trend line support, where did my trend line support go? Ah, there it is. You can see that we're still holding this trend, okay? And remember, what have I been saying for a while? We'll probably do a bit of consolidation, and then we have a good chance of breaking out, and the long can come from there with a stop below wherever the lows are, okay? Targeting new highs. So is that going to happen? I don't know. Nobody knows. But I'm certainly not super bearish at this moment in time, okay? Especially if we get a reasonable CPI print on Thursday and perhaps Trump coming back, which I never really thought I'd be saying when I was looking at these charts. But here we are, okay? So it is what it is. Here is the VIX as well, still compressing. Look, fear is not spiking. We have not broken out. I am lining this up. This is going to be a nice, big, explosive trade when it comes to it. But it's not there yet. Speaking of the VIX, can't help but notice, I showed this a while ago. This is the fractal from 2008, okay, in blue here. And as you can see, of late, we've been tracing it quite nicely. Now, what comes after this, right around the end of November, for the VIX in 2008 was a huge, huge, huge spike up, okay, as we went and set the final capitulative moment of the great financial crisis. So this, of course, could break away at any point, okay? It could do this and then roll over. It could continue to chop around inside of its range that it's been in. But this is something that is somewhat concerning. And speaking of this, okay, this would start to move up strongly around the end of November, early December. Why is that date significant? Well, because if I copy and paste this, okay, and look to put this around, I'll just measure this out. This cycle low would be in the right sort of timing band, okay, around 40 days out from this one, assuming this one is what we've got to deal with. So why is this significant? Well, because you'd expect this, if this is going to be a strong enough bounce, there's going to be a reasonably strong bounce, you'd expect this to move up for around 3/4 of the cycle, or 30 odd days, right? Which could coincide with a touch of this trend line. So we would get something like this form, and then drop down into that cycle low, which would then fail. And that would coincide beautifully with this VIX fractal playing out and us getting those big lows that everyone's championing, us setting a massive 50% drawdown in equities and going straight to full great reset without any new highs. So that's certainly one situation, that's certainly one possibility, but we're not there yet. Okay, so for now, the important thing to do is check the CPI print, see what happens with the elections, and see if we can work our way up to the top of this downward sloping resistance line. Okay, once we get to here, if we can get to here, obviously we lose this low and it's lights out straight away, but if we can get to here, then it's important to see, can we do what I think the Dow is going to do? Can we break out? Okay, quite possibly. FTSE 100 leading, okay, this is a good sign. Is it going to consolidate under here and go? If so, then we have another long opportunity. I slept on the last one. Perhaps this time we can capitalize on it. Coinbase. We are still holding this. I would think this is going to puke. I would think this is going to puke today, given the crypto situation. But I'm not too worried about it because it will form a swing in the next couple of days. I'm convinced of that. Same is true of MicroStrategy. I haven't got any riot yet, as I've said, looking to get it. So that's fine. This is going to end up down here, I guess. Something like this. So that's fine. Looking to buy the swing there, and the same is true of Marathon. Okay, so we'll put this down here because I expect this is going to drop off a little bit. Tesla still just about in, and Apple still just about in. Again, I think if we get, it's the same story, isn't it? If we can get decent CPI readings, then all of these are going to fly, so no problem there. Oil still working its way up to $95 to $100 range. I think possibly it's not going to come until a bit later, say mid-December, but then I think this big short is on. So lining that up. Gold being even more difficult here. The question is this breakout retest resumption? Okay, based on where the line is. We've got touch here, and touch here, and then a little fake out. Or should this be drawn to connect the most extreme one? In which case, we have made it to resistance, broken out, and now closed back beneath it. Okay, so this could really go either way. This could really go either way. We also got this complicated situation where we've got 3 equal lows here, pretty much, okay? 1, 2, and 3. This is strange in and of itself. We've kind of formed this weird triple bottom. Is this an early day 16 low, which makes this a day 10 high? Possibly, therefore, you would expect it to roll over and take out the lows. Or is this a much more reasonable 24-day low, and we're only on day 3 or 4 of this cycle, and we're about to get a bounce off of this and break out, in which case we need to be long and strong. So difficult read. I think certainly a close back below the blue line, and that is an easy short, but I think there's still a chance that we could do something like this, and if that's the case, then you need to be long and strong there. So 1 or 2 more candles and we'll have our answer. But again, it's difficult to jump in here since we know what's going on. There's a lot of macro moving and market moving news coming out this week. So that is that. Dollar continues to chop around as we expected, as we called quite nicely. It's still chopping around. Is this going to break down? Are we going to sort of waddle around for a bit? Or could we get a really hot CPI print and see this break out, form some equal high or lower high or higher high, and then we got a whole new situation to deal with, right? And you would think a massive risk on moment, a massive risk off moment for markets. So we need to be paying attention this week. But overall, I'm not too concerned. I would, at least for me, I'm not too worried about this. I think this is a good sign. I think this is what I wanted to see, and this is what I was kind of expecting. I was saying all the way through this, I was saying it's just not quite deep enough, but you have to respect the cycles. Sometimes you have to pay a stop. This is wide enough not to worry about it. Wherever this swing forms, we can move the stop up to that low, take some of the risk off. Usually I'm not premature, but I am on this occasion, so it is what it is. But I would caution against being uber bearish at this stage. At least I'm not. If we get bad CPI prints, then I can flip on a dime, so it's not a problem. If you found value here today, I'd appreciate it if you could drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're not already. Subscribe and turn the notifications on if you want to continue to see how I play these markets in real time as a pro swing trader. I will be back tomorrow with more daily content, and in the meantime, look after yourselves. Take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.